Roll call, please.
Freeholder DiNicola.
Here.
Freeholder Felice.
Present.
Freeholder Gans.
Aye.
Freeholder Sullivan.
Here.
Freeholder Tonelli.
Here.
Freeholder Zor.
Here.
Chairwoman Voss.
Here. You see evidence that a quorum is present. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? And Mr. Nienstock, would you lead us in the pledge?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will now have our invocation by Reverend David Horst, minister of the Central Unitarian Church in Paramus, and ask that he please come forward.
I invite you now into a few moments of thought and reflection. To worship God is nothing other than to serve the people. It does not need rosaries, prayer, carpets, or robes. All people are members of the same body, created from one essence. If faith brings suffering to one member, the others cannot stay at rest. I offer you these words from Saudi Shirazi, one of the greatest figures of Persian ethical and humanitarian literature of the medieval period. To serve the people is what we are all called to do. We each bring our talents and our passions, our dreams and our visions, and our hearts and our minds. We are called to serve the people, each in our own way, all of us in some important or necessary way. Some of the work is glorious, some of it is mundane, some of the work is joyful, some painful. Sometimes the work is easy, though not very often. Most times the work is hard. Yet we serve not expecting personal reward or gain, but seeking instead the betterment of our communities, our nation, and our world, believing that all people are members of the same body, the body of humankind. In this way, to serve the people is holy work, a sacred duty, a worship of God. We give thanks for the opportunity to serve. We give thanks for our sisters and brothers who join us in service. We give thanks for the communities of people who rely on our work and support our efforts. May peace and blessings be upon all who serve the people. Amen. Salem. Shalom. Good evening. My name is the Reverend David Horst. I serve Central Unitarian Church, Bergen County's liberal religious community, founded on principles of love, service, and justice. We are a member of the Unitarian Universalist Association, comprising more than 1,000 congregations throughout the United States. Thank you, Chairwoman Voss, Vice Chairman Tonelli, Chairman Pro Tempore Felice, and Freeholders Gans, DiNicola, Silnazur, and Sullivan for giving me this opportunity to speak this evening. Thanks also to the county officials and staff and members of the public present here and viewing at home. Founded in 1897 in Hackensack, Central Unitarian relocated to Forest Avenue in Paramus in 1956. Our 200 members and 80 children and youth gather weekly for Sunday morning worship and music, for religious education and faith development, and community service and advocacy. We welcome individuals and families of all faiths, ethnicities, and races. We welcome and affirm gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender individuals and their families as well. Beyond our sanctuary walls, we serve the citizens of Bergen County in a number of ways. Each November, for the past 14 years, the congregation has sponsored the Outreach Auction, which supports a number of Bergen County human service organizations. Since the Outreach Auction began in 2000, we've made grants of more than $350,000 to a variety of charities. Last year, the auction benefited the Center for Food Action, Children's Aid and Family Services, Family Promise of Bergen County, Holly Child Care and Developmental Center, Center for Hope and Safety, and the Bergen County chapter of PFLAG, supporting the gay, lesbian, and transgender community. And we invite you to join us for this year's Outreach Auction on November 14th. Outreach Auction is now a joint effort of all 3 Unitarian Universalist congregations in Bergen County, congregation in Ridgewood and Englewood, as well as Paramus. The Center for Food Action has become our primary community partner. In addition to the outreach auction funding, we run monthly food drives, provide meeting space to the agency, raise money to support CFA's weekend snack pack program that supports low-income families facing food shortages. Central Unitarian's commitment to CFA and hungry families in Bergen County is growing. We have created a large community garden on our property, which is adjacent to Van Saun Park. And we will soon plant and then grow a variety of vegetables to supply families served by the Center for Food Action. Planting begins soon, and we expect a bountiful harvest by mid to late summer. Members of the Bergen County community are welcome to join us in this effort. We are also building our knowledge and capacity so that we can then advocate in Trenton on behalf of families in our county facing food insecurity. We welcome you to join us on Sunday morning at 10:30. We'd love to get to know you and you to get to know us better. Come sing and pray and worship and learn, make new friends, and serve and grow with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend. Now, if we could please observe a moment of silence. On March 18th, Bergen County Sheriff's Department Lieutenant Brian Bruntel died very suddenly in the course of playing basketball for charity. And he was a wonderful man who gave a great deal to his community, so if we could just have a moment of silence. Thank you. Now, we had an interesting presentation, and I'm going to ask Daniel Trelaro of the Council on Compulsive Gambling to be here on behalf of Resolution 26915, resolution designating March as Problem Gambling Awareness Month. This is an issue that is very, very near and dear to my heart because I sponsored a good deal of legislation pertaining to compulsive gambling because it is a big problem, not only among adults, but among teenagers. So, Daniel, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I want to thank everyone. I want to thank you for the opportunity this evening, to the folks behind me. I want to welcome the public, and I thank you for allowing us to take a few moments while March is Problem Gambling Awareness Month. We do try to create education awareness all year round. Let me tell you a little bit about who we are, who I am, and why Bergen County now? Why at this moment? The Council on Compulsive Gambling is a private nonprofit organization located in Hamilton, New Jersey. Our phone number, most people know, 1-800-GAMBLER. People know us more by our phone number than by our name. It's a long name, but a short phone number. We help problem gamblers. We help those suffering with addiction. We help those suffering with the addiction of compulsive gambling. But more so, we also find that the family members and the spouses of the compulsive gambler also need the help. It is estimated that 8 to 10 people are impacted by a compulsive gambler. I find that number to be staggeringly low. I think the number is actually more than that. I speak as someone who represents the Council on Compulsive Gambling and someone in recovery myself with a last bet of February 11, 2010. So I'm very thankful and I understand the devastation that this illness can cause. The Council is neutral on gambling issues. We neither are for nor against gambling. Rather, we want to provide treatment and referral services. We want to promote education and awareness. Within Bergen County alone, I spend a lot of time going to the high schools, the middle schools, the inpatient facilities, the outpatient facilities, faith-based organizations, to talk about the dangers of addiction, the behavioral changes, the emotional challenges, and compulsive gambling. But why Bergen County right now? Compulsive gambling has the highest suicide rate of all the major addictions. 1 in 5 compulsive gamblers will commit suicide. They often come to their end when there's no hope left. A gentleman once said that the 2 reasons compulsive gambling is tricky to find. Number 1, it's hidden. You can't test for it. There's no way to measure or test that a person's gambling physically. And number 2, as long as the gambler has $1 in their pocket, they still think that there's hope in that twisted world that they live in. Suicide rate, down to the last dollar, can't put food on the table. But what I'm seeing now that's more troubling and why we appreciate the support this evening, a few trends that I'm seeing emerging. In the schools, there's a greater focus on the fantasy sports. While fantasy sports are excluded from the definition of gambling, I think we can agree that any time you're putting money up against a friend and you have the unforeseen future and you're hoping for a certain event to occur, I think there's an element of gambling and risk involved there. And so we're seeing the kids in the schools doing more and more of the daily fantasy challenges that we hear about on the radio. We're seeing more kids with the internet and mobile device gambling. Again, while we're not opposed to the mobile device gambling law and internet gambling that was passed in November 2013, rather we want to help people who have a problem. We are seeing more people not going down to Atlantic City, and our phone call, our helpline is getting more calls of someone saying, I used to go to Borgata, but now it's right in my living room. It's a lot easier for me. I don't have to travel as far. But the problem with that is you can't turn it off. It's 24/7, 365. There's no buy-in. There's no dealer change. There's no card reshuffling. There's no slowdown in the action, which is why gambling can become quite addicting, even though we're not putting anything in our body. The other concern is for the at-risk populations, those recovering from the alcohol and drugs that we read so much about every day in the newspaper. They're at risk. Because if you're going to switch addictions, we find there's a 30 to 40% co-occurrence rate between alcohol and gambling. For those people struggling in their life and they need to switch and they need to not necessarily drug and drink anymore, they might find scratch-offs or gambling a viable solution or alternative because they're not putting anything in their body any longer. Lastly, the future of sports gambling is one that's unknown. I think we agree we don't know which way it's going to go. But I will say this, kids are gambling on sports. They still have the tickets just like they had when I was growing up. They had the tickets just like they had when older members were growing up. There's still the illegal offshore sites that kids are using, that adults are using. We also find that those who gamble on fantasy sports early on in life tend to become sports gamblers later in life. For that reason, we appreciate the support within Bergen County of getting the message out that gambling is a real addiction. It's hidden. It needs to be addressed. It needs to be recognized. We work with the treatment providers to make sure they're asking a few simple questions at intake. Have you ever lied about how much you gambled? Have you ever wanted to go back and regain your losses? And have you ever thought about gambling longer than you probably should have? 3 simple questions. And now we're trying to figure out how we can help those people the best way possible. I appreciate the time we've had this evening. Gambling is an addiction. It doesn't impact a large number of people, 5% of the American public. But when it does impact somebody, it reaches far around the family. And we want to get the message out that there is hope and awareness out there for people when they're struggling. Just by calling our phone number, 1-800-GAMBLER, that road to recovery can begin. I thank you all for your time. I thank you again.
Thank you.
T as in Tom, R-O-L-A-R-O.
Okay. Will the clerk please read the minutes to be accepted?
February 25th, 2015, public session, all present. March 3rd, 2015, work session, all present. March 11th, 2015, work session, all present.
May I have a motion to accept the minutes?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. May I have a motion to open the meeting to the public?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We will now have the hearing of the general public with a 3-minute time limit in effect. The board attorney will keep the time. When the time of the speaker expires, the timekeeper will announce the time has expired. Please fill out a card like this with your name, address, and the general topic so we can keep a good flow. Okay? And Claude being stopped.
Thank you. Clerk, Fairlawn. Good evening.
Good evening.
I have a deep concern now. I read somewhere that the ISOT Center may be demolished, and I'm really angry about this. I urge all the freeholders and the county administrator, the clerk to the board, and deputy county executive, and all the people to look into this and keep this open. It is a tragedy for this ISOT Center to be torn down. I realize there's no buyer out there, no government or private people to invest money because they want to make a profit. They have to be guaranteed that enough people will come to the shows. But if the shows are priced right and the parking is not $45 or $50 to park the car, or $30 or $35, reasonable parking and more parking and better bus communication to the place, including from New York, and better train service, that the access to the place can be better. Somebody could invest, maybe a private enterprise, or maybe a government agency, or maybe the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey could do something, or the governor could look into something. But please let Mr. Tedesco, County Executive, know about it. I know I'm one person. I can't do everything. I'm only voicing my concern. I don't want it torn down. I don't want it torn down. I think it's ridiculous to spend that kind of money and then tear it down. I think maybe it could be sold. Maybe it could be fixed up, and maybe a private company could come there and have shows or concerts or basketball games or whatever. I don't have all the answers. I'm not the engineer. I can't solve this problem. Now, if you are freeholders, represent the people, maybe you could let the governor know, the state assembly, state senators, but something has to be done, because I've been reading that they're planning to tear it down. And I don't approve of that. I'm really opposed to it. I'm a little angry about it, to hear it's going to be demolished.
I know that Freeholder Chinelli would like to say something to you in regards to this.
Okay, good.
Wait till it's time.
Okay, I mean, you
He has
still
more
have time to
time.
speak.
Yes.
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. And also, I'm upset about people losing their jobs. That's another thing.
Just real quickly, I've been outspoken from day one about the closing of the Izod Center. I know there's other members of this board that are just as livid as you are with the loss of jobs and that venue not being utilized. I haven't heard yet that they were going to be knocking it down, but I just want you to know that State Senator Weinberg has taken a very, very active role, legal role, to try and get to the bottom of why this was closed, how it was closed, and I'm very confident that they're going to use this facility with whatever's going on down there. Just the fact that it went so quickly and what it went for, and the fact that now they're basically deeming it worthless as opposed to maybe the state being able to get something out of it. I don't agree with any of the numbers or facts that were released on them losing money when the venues were paying for the workers. How are we losing money?
Right.
But I'm very confident with Senator Weinberg's looking into this that we're going to get the answers that we need.
I think it's a great thing that she's looking into it. I'm not saying it's guaranteed that they're going to tear it down. I just read, different reports from the press, but I'm not saying they're definitely going to demolish it. But just the idea of it upset me. It really upset me a great deal.
Chairwoman,
And
just for one
I
second.
think the public is upset too.
I've said it once, I'll say it again tonight. The county needs an indoor facility. So I'm planning on, I've already had a preliminary conversation with the county executive, but maybe it's reaching for the stars, but it's a facility that if it's available, the county should think about purchasing, because as far as I'm concerned, we need an indoor facility. Our graduations are now all disrupted from our colleges. We have sports venues that now have to go out of the county and out of the state. For a wrestling tournament, has to go into New York. We have a need. We have to look at it and see if it's viable. I know that the county executive will be more than willing to sit down with me and talk about it, but I said it once, I'm going to say it again. I'm in favor of the county looking into purchasing that facility.
I'm all for whatever you decide to do. And if the county wants to buy it, I'm not opposed to it. I'm not opposed to that. I just don't want to see it torn down. I want it to stay, and I want it to be used for sports or whatever, entertainment, whatever it can be used for. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Bean.
I feel deeply about this issue.
I know, and we thank you, and it certainly is being taken into consideration by all of us, because we feel the same.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm glad to have the opportunity to speak. Thank you.
You're welcome. Paul Nichols.
Good evening, Mr. Chairwoman and Freeholders. It was brought to my attention, as you know, I try and advocate for people that I can, and I don't know if you realize, Megan McCollum went missing. And I was reached out to, and the details that I have are vague, but I do know that it took a little while. Why did it take a little while to get into the system? And basically, it's just, I've been through this before. When someone with a mental illness goes missing, it should be, I believe, it should be out in the system, NCIC or whatever, right away, immediately. So basically, she's still missing. I just got an update tonight, and I just want to make you guys aware of why did it take so long, and let's pray and hope that they find her, and see if we can see if there's a way that they could put these things out a little quicker. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Joseph Dunsey.
Good evening, I'm Joseph Dunsey from the Garage. Today I printed out the the April 2015 edition of Bergen Press. Or Bergen Pen, it's a bit early. And the two articles on it were written by my friends. After I speak, I'll give you guys your copies. The first article was written by Daniel, and it's actually a republishing of something he wrote for a nonprofit website. It's about STDs and how they've grown antibiotic resistance. The second article was written by Justin. He's the young man who came to a meeting in February, and he wrote up the article about what happened at the meeting. Most of the articles about the plans to merge the sheriff department and the police department. I'd like to read the last paragraph to you. Justin wrote, perhaps the board should consider using the savings created by the merger to fund high school summer courses at Bergen Community College. It would cost $6,000 per teacher and would allow for job creation and education in the county. I wholeheartedly second this idea. Back when I was an adjunct professor of animal behavior, I got about $6,000 for the semester, so I think his price is about right. In the summer, there's spare classroom space, so it wouldn't be a huge capital expense to offer these classes. And in the summer, teachers are more available. This is particularly important for two subjects. Mathematics, where there's always a shortage of qualified teachers. And now there's a shortage in world languages because students are starting to look for classes besides the standard French and Spanish. And there just aren't that many certified teachers able to teach those other languages. So I think it would be a great idea if the county took some of the piece dividend you're expecting from the merger and put it towards offering some summer school classes for high school students at Bergen Community College. It would further education, and it would allow students from many different districts, from Alpine to Garfield, to actually sit in the same classroom, advancing their education.
Thank you. Okay. Lenny Nix.
Oh, thank you.
Lenny.
Len.
Where is he?
It's Lenny
your
to
turn.
speak.
In Hackensack, the Midtown Bridge came up. So we're working on the Midtown Bridge here. Is there any plans for the Midtown Bridge? Well, my biggest complaint is finding out information from the county. So I've been trying to find something about the bridges, the Hackensack River bridges for months. Nobody gets back to me. I'm hard to get a hold of. Whenever I call, there's nobody there. They're in a meeting. And it's just not with the bridges, it's everything. I call a lot of people, sheriff, the lawyers, the freeholders, and I think it's an exciting time now, but I see it getting blown away with mismanagement of basically the government. And I'm concerned about the Midtown Bridge. I finally got the word today at the first meeting that the Court Street Bridge only opens for repairs, which I kind of thought that's the way it was, but with all the misinformation, I think I got the right answer tonight. So federal regulations say they're all supposed to be swimmable, fishable, and navigable. So beyond my wildest dreams that bridge doesn't open up for boats. And I'm working on a couple things that probably will never happen, but like $500 million projects along the Hackensack River and $1 billion projects along the Hackensack River. And it's going to take a lot of communication from the county and different towns with the New York Susquehanna Railroad that we talked about. And I think if it was put together from Hawthorne, Patterson, Hackensack, through the Edgewater Tunnel, to the Hudson River, to the ferry boats, and connect to the light rail from North Bergen and go to the new Fort Lee project and across the George Washington Bridge to where the tunnel's already in place on the New York side. The bridge was built for the railroad. The tunnels on the other side were there. I'd call the owner of the railroad, and if I had the money, I would start tomorrow. I wouldn't ask for anything from New Jersey Transit because I've been to the meetings. They're totally
It's 3 minutes, Chairman.
inadequate. And I was at the meeting Friday with Cory Booker and Englewood, Mr. Huddle, about the light rail going to Englewood Hospital for $1 billion.
Mr. Nix,
That's your 3 minutes. now.
yeah, you have to bring
I
it
don't
to a
want to say
close.
nothing else.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think it's a joke what you people are doing. Total joke. And you can take the 3 minutes and just shovel.
Chuck
Put
Powers?
that on the record.
Chuck?
That's the only thing a lawyer got to say. You don't want no public comment. You should cut it down to 30 seconds.
I'm Chuck Powers. I'm the president of Bergen Grassroots and a 501c4 corporation here in Bergen County.
Good evening.
And we're glad to be looking at least one part. I'm not going to speak more generally about what you're doing with 1509, your administrative code revisions. Beyond the one I really want to focus on, which is your 842, which will call for the creation within the within the council's office, the law department, of a new inspector general. I think it's a really exceedingly important development for this county. I think we all know this county had some pretty sort of complicated times in relationship to issues associated with fraud, wage, conduct, or abuse. We keep on hearing about it. We hear less right now about the fact that the way in which this county has taken hold of this issue, wrestled with it, and sometimes well, and sometimes Marty Nicole has been by herself. Now she's got pretty strong support. It was wonderful to actually create the forums that in the last election, and that every candidate for office here in the county speak in favor of the strength of a pay-to-play law and an approach to those issues, which was both generic and a kind of reinforcement of what you had finally done about a year ago. I want to say that the issues of how you go about taking a law and making it come alive by locating the responsibility for following it on a full-time basis so that issues of fraud, waste, misconduct, or abuse are actually supervised and coordinated in some specific place means that the possibility of what you've done legislatively actually can be implemented effectively. I think it's an extraordinary step. I don't know how you're going to vote tonight, but in respect of that particular provision, I would hope that there's unanimity and support for it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Kenneth Vogel.
Oh, thank you for your 3 minutes being that those public sessions are actually a minute 30, so you actually double the time. But being that this is in a very packed room, I didn't think you would be worried about it. I was kind of hoping to see, more people more active in the community. That's the reason I'm here in front of you, is actually so you get to know me. Sorry, I'm still messed up. I was just working on construction of my parents' porch and on my way to LA Fitness to go work out, so I didn't want to be on TV. But due to a divorce, I'm back in Bergen County. I grew up in Bergenfield, New Jersey, and basically I've been here a little over a year. And before, when I left Bergen County for the Hudson Valley, just so you know, because unfortunately I don't have anything, this is Ken Vogel from such and such organization. No, there's no organization. However, when I lived here before 1996, I was on the Bergen-Hudson Light Rail Committee with Alfred DeFaro at Tenafly, and unfortunately he passed away. And when I went up to the Hudson Valley, I was on the West of Hudson Transit Study with Stewart Airport, Tappan Zee, with Metropolitan Transportation Authority. I have a civil engineering degree from Fairleigh Dickinson University, and basically very well knowledgeable, especially when we're talking about the 90s. I actually joined the group and was at the first public hearing for the Sioux Caucus transfer in 1988 at the age of 20. So I'm not about to say how old I am now, but it's just that in the last couple of weeks, you could say, I had a couple emails go about because of the Cross Harbor project and because of my background with the Tappan Zee of possibly getting rail on it. My suggestions went on there. Back when I was in Bergen County before, I was a member of 4-H besides the Boy Scouts. I suggested use of the Van Bursik Island as a county park for a county fair, which would kind of solve the problem about flooding, not having to build anything. When you get here once a year, hopefully it turns out to be a lovely thing. Being that the 4-H fair hasn't really grown as much as other counties, and hopefully that happens. And because of such communications, I know I'm old school, but I used to build cell sites for a living. So besides the email and finding you guys online, I wanted to come in person so I can say hello and get to know me, and hopefully all these projects come to fruition that you guys are working and I follow in the news. Because one of the things I really appreciate is the fact that you guys are on that side to work for me, so I don't have to do all that stuff, but I volunteer work. Thank you so much.
Well said. Thank you.
Thank you.
D as in Victor, O-G-E-L.
Thank you.
Kenneth. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else wish to speak?
Motion to close.
May I have a motion
Second.
to close the meeting? All in favor?
Aye.
The meeting is closed to the public. Will the clerk read the resolutions on the consent agenda?
Resolutions on consent are 232-15 through 258-15 and 260-15 through 270-15.
Move the consent agenda.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Freeholder Di Nicola?
Yes.
Freeholder Felice?
Yes.
Freeholder Gans?
Aye.
Freeholder Sullivan?
Yes.
Freeholder Tinelli?
Yes.
Freeholder Zor?
Yes.
Chairwoman Vaz?
Yes. Are there any resolutions of non-consent pulled or tabled? If so, will the clerk please read them?
One resolution of non-consent is Resolution 259-15. One second, which is a resolution authorizing an agreement between the New Jersey Transit Corporation, Bergen County Improvement Authority on behalf of Bergen County and as a license holder of Bergen Regional Medical Center and Bergen Regional Medical Center LLP for NJT to procure and install at its sole expense 2 bus shelters on the campus of the BRMC, Paramus, New Jersey.
I'd like to move that, Chairwoman.
Second.
Who's seconded that?
Discussion.
Yep.
Discussion?
I'm sorry, who's second?
Who seconded that?
I introduced.
Who seconded?
I think it was Freeholder Nicole.
Okay.
Freeholder Gans?
Just some very brief discussion. I had some concerns about this, as I've had some concerns over the last several years. I specifically asked our council and also the county council if there were any issues that would arise from this that would prove problematical in light of the lease that is coming to an end in about 2 years on the site. Solomon and I have been assured by both that that is not the case, so I'm happy to join the rest of the board with this.
Anyone else? Okay, roll call?
Freeholder DiNicola?
Yes.
Freeholder Felice?
Yes.
Freeholder Gans?
Aye.
Freeholder Sullivan?
Yes.
Freeholder Tonelli?
Yes.
Freeholder Zor?
Yes.
Chairwoman Vaz?
Yes. We will now go on to our ordinance, the second reading and adoption. Will the clerk please read ordinance 1508?
Proof of publication of ordinance notice of public hearing and was published in the record on Sunday, March 15, 2015, and is on file in her office. A copy of the notice of hearing and ordinance number 15-08 was duly posted pursuant to NJSA 48:2-17 on Friday, March 13, 2015. Ordinance 1508 is an ordinance establishing the speed limits along Wyckoff Avenue in the borough of Waldwick.
May I have a motion to open the ordinance to the public for comment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Public hearing is now open.
Move to close.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Is,
I'll make a motion on the ordinance.
okay.
Second.
Hold on.
Roll call?
Hold on. Can't keep up with you.
I know.
You guys are
They keep jumping the gun on me.
I know. Okay, Freeholder DiNicola.
Yes.
Freeholder Felice?
Yes.
Freeholder Gans?
Aye.
Freeholder Sullivan?
Yes.
Freeholder Tonelli?
Yes.
Freeholder Zor?
Yes.
Chairwoman Vaz?
Yes. Ordinance 1508 is adopted. Will the clerk please read the next ordinance?
1 second.
Slow down.
Slow down. Proof of publication of ordinance. Notice of public hearing was published in the record on Sunday, March 15, 2015, and is on file in her office. A copy of the notice of hearing and ordinance number 15-09 was duly posted pursuant to the NJSA 48:2-17 on Friday, March 13, 2015. Ordinance number 15-09 is an ordinance amending the Bergen County Administrative Code to realign departments and divisions.
May I have a motion to open the public hearing on ordinance
So moved.
1509? May I have a second?
Who seconded
I
that?
don't know.
Freeholder
Okay.
Sullivan.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, the public hearing is now open. Does anyone wish to speak? Mr. Powers? With a 5-minute time limit.
I have a 5-minute time limit. I want to just reiterate a couple of things. One, in the steering committee meeting at Bergen Grassroots on Tuesday, the fact that you were trying to make sure that you were reaching out to the broader community for support for your advisory boards, there was a kind of coordination going on between the executive and the legislative. Struck me as really interesting. We're going to work pretty hard to see whether or not some people who are members of our organization can help you fill in those boards. We think it's really important that the advisory capacities of this county and the skills available in this county are available to both you and to the county executive as you carry forward this work. And it does feel as if this administrative code piece is doing a good job on that. I want to reiterate that what I said earlier about the new IG position, the new Inspector General position, is something that that Bergen Grassroots, as a steering committee, officially has taken as something to support. But I want to point out that it's always complicated when you try to figure out where to put someone who's in charge of the enforcement. It's always, by necessity, going to be in one of the other branches. And this one happens, because you're talking about enforcement, it's an executive function. It has to rest within the, I talked earlier today to your counsel. I said, I really hope that he takes very seriously the selection of the person who steps into that position, and that it is a person with whom you folks feel confident, and that you will watch what that person does and bring that person, him or her, to you as that work is carried out, so you know what it is that he is doing, and then that you think about whether or not there's some way in which you can, as you did with these advisory committees, try to figure out something parallel to make sure that that's true of the legislative side of business as well as on the executive. It's a really important step. We're now beyond the point of trying to struggle where to come out on that, with a county that is in fact continuing to take the lead on issues associated with pay to play. Now can you take the lead in helping the rest of the state understand how those issues are effectively enforced? Thank you.
Thank you. May I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The public hearing on ordinance 1509 is closed. Would anyone like to discuss or comment on ordinance 1509? Freeholder Gaines.
Some general comments, if I may. I think this is one of the most important things that I've seen this board do in all my time here. This is a realignment of the way that we do business. Not only the freeholders and the executive, but how we work together. I don't think that we necessarily have to have every element of this right. I think that as we work through it, we're going to find that some things don't work. We should be open to change that. It should be an organic document that we are prepared to allow to grow and to grow with. And I think with that in mind, I will be very happy to support this.
Anyone else wish to speak? Freeholder Tonelli.
Thank you, Chairwoman. This vote tonight for this ordinance shows that the county executive has a vision for how he thinks the county should be run. It's a common sense approach. When you look at this document, it's very difficult to understand why it hasn't been done sooner, in my opinion. It takes into consideration today's day and age, which departments should be lined up, which departments work better with each other, planning and engineering. I mean, it's all about moving the county forward, and I believe that this is a very good step forward in using a common sense approach. So I commend the county executive in only 3 months to take on such a monumental task as editing something that hasn't been changed since the 80s. So I will definitely be supporting this tonight. Thank you.
Freeholder Felice.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I just want to bring up, and I did this in the work session, regarding on page 11 of the ordinance, the Inspector General. And I'm very, very pleased to hear that in this ordinance, it will be an existing position, not an additional position added. So I think that's good for the taxpayer. Now, let me just comment, if I can, for a moment regarding the concept of the IG. And I think Inspector General is a great one, but we also have to be vigilant that that person does what he or she is going to be asked to do. And part of a strong, vibrant government is checks and balances. And since the day I came on this board, I've worked very hard to support the integrity of this body and to challenge the executive branch whenever I thought it needed to be challenged. And I will be very vigilant to the last day I serve in this office to make sure that the Inspector General holds on to the duties that they were asked to perform. So I'll be supporting this overall change in the ordinance. I think it's a good one, and I just wanted to make those comments. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Freeholder Zerk.
To echo much of what Freeholder Snelly and Freeholder Gans has said, I think this is such a smart move to really enable us to deliver effective and efficient county government. To see the way that real core functions have been streamlined, I think is going to produce just a different level of productivity throughout the county, and I'm very excited to see the changes that have been put forth. I also was very excited to see the collaborative way in which the county executive worked with us and listened to our feedback and incorporated those changes. And that went on until 5 minutes before our work session. It was really very responsive, very much so understanding the fact that we are a co-equal branch in this government and that our input and our expertise is important. And I truly valued having that camaraderie and that partnership as we put forward to make these changes to make Bergen County better. So thank you to the county executive, and I look forward to voting for this ordinance.
Anyone else wish to say anything? Freeholder Dina Cole.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I I'm going to echo some of the comments of my colleagues as well. I think this is a very important first step in that we are updating and making changes to an administrative code that doesn't and didn't in many ways reflect how we actually operate. And at the same time, we're beginning as a whole to evaluate and analyze exactly what the work of the county is, where the synergies are, how things can be organized or reorganized for greater efficiency. And that's a very important thing. As Freeholder Gans said, is it perfect? No. Nothing ever is. But as long as we are all committed, and having met with the county executive over this ordinance, as well as spoken to a number of my colleagues, I know that we all are committed to the fact that this is a living document and it will evolve. And if there are changes that need to be made, we'll make those changes. But in the meantime, there are some very good things in here, as Mr. Powers said, and the other things shouldn't hold us back. I am appreciative that County Council made the change that I recommended at the work session, and even the county executive took some of my comments under advisement and made those changes as well. So it truly was a collaborative effort initiated by the administration, and I think we're moving in the right direction here. So thank you.
Okay, may I have a motion to adopt ordinance?
So moved.
Second. Wait, who first?
Roll call, please.
Who was that
Can we do
again?
it as a body of the whole?
Body as a whole?
Huh?
Can we do it as a body of the whole? Everybody seems to be wanting to get on this.
Certainly.
Okay.
Unless anyone objects.
Okay,
Okay.
Can be done.
okay, then we don't need a vote, so ordinance 1509 is adopted.
We still need to vote.
We still need to
Okay.
vote.
Sponsored and seconded by the
Body as a whole,
You
okay.
got it.
Very good. Okay. Gotcha.
She was just testing.
It's in there somewhere.
Want to make sure you were right.
We didn't amend that.
Okay.
Okay, call the roll.
Body as a whole, 1509. Okay, Freeholder Di Nicola?
Yes.
Okay, Freeholder Fleece?
Yes.
Freeholder Gans?
Aye.
Freeholder
I'll be
Sullivan?
happy to support this, yes.
Okay, Freeholder Tonelli?
Yes.
Freeholder Zor?
Yes.
Chairwoman Voss?
Yes. Ordinance 1509 is adopted. Okay. Okay. Now, we're going to have committee reports, but let me please ask you to keep them brief and to the point, and please not to exceed 5 minutes, okay? That is my fervent and avid wish, okay? So.
I'm not keeping the clock.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
If
might
you'd like,
be-
I
Yeah,
would.
you are.
Would you like me to keep the
Yes.
clock?
Because I'm going to give up, if anybody goes over 5 minutes, okay? Okay, let's start with Freeholder Di Nicola.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The first thing I'd like to bring to the public's attention is Resolution 239, which we discussed during our work session and had a presentation from the Department of Health and the Director of the Animal Shelter and Adoption Center. Resolution 239 designates our animal shelter as a no-kill shelter, given the parameters on certain guidelines that they've actually been following for a very long time. I think all of us spoke to the fact that we're very proud of the work that has taken place there over the last several years, that we're in a very good place at our animal shelter. I think every single freeholder is an animal lover, and we were not bribed with the fact that we would be given a kitten if we voted yes on this resolution. But it is something that I think we need to champion throughout the county. And it's important for us to represent particularly this facility in the best light we can, given all of the work that has taken place there. I know the rest of my freeholders will give a litany of all of the different events that we've attended: Women's History Month, Delta Sigma Theta Alumni Chapter had a hearing here that we participated in on domestic violence. We also had the EPA here, right in this very room, and we were discussing issues in regard to business and energy efficiency, what the issues are that we're facing in terms of the economy and also the environment and legislation. What's worked, what hasn't worked, what we need to work on together. I also want to mention that tomorrow is my turn at Meals on Wheels at 8 o'clock in the morning. So
wear sneakers.
That's right. I do look forward to it. We'll be driving with the drivers and delivering meals to the citizens throughout the county, and really getting a sense of community transportation and the good work that they do there. And that's the end of my report. Thank you.
Freeholder. Freeholder Police. I'm going to go yo-yo back and forth.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. One word budget. I think the biggest responsibility we have as freeholders is to evaluate and pass a budget. And as budget chair, I look forward to that, and I look forward to the county executive presenting that budget in short fashion, and for us collectively to work on the betterment of the people of Bergen County as well as the taxpayers. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Oh, thank you. Chair. Forced to habit. Freeholder Gantz.
Thank you, Chairwoman. I thought for a moment I'd talk about veterans because it's a cause that's near and dear to my heart, and it's important for us to remember those who have served in our armed forces after they have separated from them. The statistics are that 22 veterans commit suicide every day. That's not every week or every month. It's every day. It's over 8,000 in the course of a year. In looking up the statistic to confirm its accuracy, I was appalled to discover that the numbers are probably higher because Texas, California, and Illinois do not report the data to the Veterans Administration, and those are two of the most populous states, and the third state is also among the most popular. So it's clear that the number of veterans committing suicide is higher. One of those casualties was my son Scott, who served with distinction as a combat engineer in Afghanistan. He came back with a closed head injury, and as so many individuals are who have been through that, took drugs for the pain and additional pills for the drugs. And eventually it became too much for him, and he exercised an option that I don't wish upon any parent. I want to say that for those who are affected by it, that the Veterans Administration has a much better program for survivors than it does for the veterans themselves. My son was on a list to get psychiatric help, and he would have come due on the list approximately now. His suicide was 2 years ago in February. Bergen County has a Division of Veterans Services. I encourage you to call them. They have a hotline phone number, 1-800-273-8255. And when you dial that number, press 1, and someone will be able to give you support confidentially 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Before my time expires, I want to encourage you to take the Bergen Wellness Program. This has given millions of dollars worth of benefits to those who have utilized its services for themselves and for their pets. The address that you can get that at is from the county website. You can also pick up individual cards from the various freeholders. Coming up next week is Passover, and of course Easter. For those who celebrate Passover, Aziz and Pesach, and for those who celebrate Easter, a very pleasant and happy day. That concludes my remarks.
Thank you, Freeholder. Freeholder Zur.
Thank you very much, Chairwoman.
This last couple of weeks were filled with not only a lot of community events, as many of my colleagues had touched upon, but those were not highlighted. We had Greek Independence Day flag raising yesterday. We had the Bergen St. Patrick's Day Parade and all the events surrounding that. There was Good Deeds Day, which was sponsored by Jewish Federation, which collected truckfuls of food that went to the Center for Food Action. And I want to congratulate Sari Gross on just an amazing effort there. We also saw some retirements today. Not only of Noreen Best, who is the Director of Community Development, which is a tremendous loss after the 38 years of service, but also Anna Cookie Ramirez in Bergenfield for the Bergenfield Senior Center. She's worked for the county for 25 years, at the Senior Center for 17, and was very touching goodbye there today. One of the things we did as far as the Transportation Committee, Mayor LaForette sponsored a traffic conference. And I want to thank Commissioner Jamie Foxx for coming up to Mahwah to talk about the traffic issues regarding that 17287 interchange. This is an area of traffic that we're going to need to pay increasing attention to, not only as that mall in Mahwah opens, as casino development happens up the road in New York, as development occurs in Sloatsburg, where we're going to see another 400 units of housing go in. This is an area where we really need a concerted effort, not only from the county, but from our federal representatives to make sure, since it is an interstate highway, to make sure that we have some federal dollars going to widen this area, to have better signage in this area, and to really address it in a comprehensive way. But I want to thank Deborah Hurt and Commissioner Fox for coming and really paying attention to that issue. As all of you know, what's very near and dear to my heart is the chocolate competition. This is one of the highlights of being a freeholder. We get to judge the Bergen Academy's chocolate competition, and these students are so impressive. Their creativity and their talent. It was really not only very bad for my waistline, but very good for my heart. I want to congratulate Michaela Springsteen, who was the first place senior winner, Gloria Hunsiol San, who won the second place, and Joyce Lee, who had an adorable Despicable Me cake, but also to Sarah Monahan, Max Aronson, Rebecca Bermudez, and Tiffany Hawaii, who all had tremendous efforts on the senior section. It really is one of the best dollars we get to spend as county officials, to really plant the seeds for our children and get to watch them blossom. So I thank you to Chef Blanda and all of those teachers who put in so much time to guide the next generation. Thank you.
Freeholder Sullivan.
Thank you. Good evening. As Freeholder Zor said, it's a busy month in the county. We were all over the place this month, which is a good thing. I also had the pleasure of attending my first St. Patrick's Day Parade as a freeholder in my former hometown of Bergenfield there. And it was great to see old friends, and it was a great parade. It's always a great parade when the Irish are involved. So I just want to put that on the record. We also, with Freeholders Zor today, attended the retirement of Anna Cookie Ramirez, whom I've known for years. She was a former councilwoman in Bergenfield. I served after her, but she was always involved in her community, and she's a great woman, and I wish her well. We also attended the BCEA legislative dinner last Thursday, which was nice to attend. Freeholder Zor and myself attended the Goddard School opening in Elmwood Park, which is great to see young kids, and the knowledge that comes out of the Goddard School is fantastic. So God bless them. I was also here with Freeholder Dina Kohler and Felice on the EPA meeting. It was very informative. Alternative energy was discussed. Everything was discussed, from water issues to alternative energy. It was very informative, and I think we have a handle on that, which is great. I also want to bring to light a resolution that was passed tonight, 27015, refinancing our debt. A lot of our debt that's going to save us $1 million this year alone. Approximately $500,000 over the 9 years, I believe it was. So that's a fantastic thing to do, and proactive on the board, and that's fantastic. And lastly, I want to congratulate the Bergenfield boys basketball team for being named the Bergen Record Team of the Year. Again, my hometown, I can't talk about it enough. They're doing wonderful things over there, and congratulations to those young men. And that's it.
Thank you, Freeholder. Freeholder Tonelli.
Thank you, Chairwoman. So, as everybody sees, this is a very active freeholder board. And if we don't all attend these events together, there's at least 2 or 3 of us at pretty much every event. So when we give our reports, there's a lot of repetitive taking different opinions, different points of view from each of us. So I'm not going to rehash everything everybody else did today. What I'd like to talk about is, as March comes to a close, there's a few events coming up that are very important to me, and they're also important to Freeholder D. Nicole, our family. We have family members that suffer from MS. So my father had MS, he's no longer with us, but also my younger brother has MS. And just to put into a really quick story, was the week of 9/11, that tragic week, was also the week my brother was to be married. And that Wednesday during his rehearsal dinner was the night that he came back from the doctors and found out that he was diagnosed with MS. So not only did he hear that news, we had family members that couldn't come in to the wedding on Saturday. It was just a horrible week. So what it did, it was motivated me to create a team to do the MS walk. So I started that year. There was only 11 of us, mostly family members. The following year, my brother didn't want anyone to know he even had it, so he didn't even participate the first year. But the second year, I was able to coax him into coming to the walk, not knowing that I had 250 people that were waiting for him with Team Tonelli shirts on in the parking lot, because it was important to me for him to know that he wasn't in the fight alone. So there's 16 locations. It's April 18th and 19th will be the MS walk. My family's gotten a little more adventurous. We're also doing the mud run that takes place on June 13th. It's a 5K mud run with obstacles. It seems that everybody seems to like that one a little bit better. So the end of March for me becomes fundraising time for MS. There's millions of people that are afflicted by this disease. It's terrible. It's just another one of these neurological diseases where your mind is perfect and your body's faltering. And to watch people suffer with them, and predominantly women actually suffer worse than men. But it's really a debilitating disease. So anybody interested in possibly walking or contributing, they could contact nationalmssociety.org, or they could contact my office. We could always use new team members. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. As Freeholder Tonelli said, many of us attend several events, and we won't be redundant, but one of my passions is education. And I just want to thank this evening our camera operators, Nate Williams and Mike Spadavecchia, okay, who are from the technical school at Teterboro. I'm so proud of all of our schools. We just had a wonderful meeting at the technical school, and we had Senate President Sweeney come up, and we were talking about these kids are amazing, and what they are able to accomplish is phenomenal. And not only at the technical school, but Freeholders mentioned the chocolate competition. So many of these kids are going to outstanding colleges. They're not all going to major in culinary arts. They're majoring in all kinds of things, and it was wonderful to hear the diverse interests that they had. Freeholder D. Nicole, tomorrow, wear your sneakers. One of the most rewarding experiences I have ever had was to go on Meals on Wheels. People have no idea what this county provides for people. And I had this wonderful driver named Kennedy, who we took frozen meals. There was enough food for 7 days. And I think we went to about 60 houses. And I was amazed at the diverse type of houses. Some were very upscale houses, some were very modest, abodes. And I said when I got back, what is the criteria for giving Meals on Wheels? Because you can pay a little bit or you don't have to pay anything if your finances. And the criteria is if you are homebound and have no way to get around, then you are entitled to Meals on Wheels. There's no financial restrictions at all on this. And I have to tell you, the drivers on these runs, I can't praise them enough, because for many of these people who only get meals once a week, these drivers are the only human contact they have with the outside world. And these drivers, I mean, the people look forward to them coming because they can have a conversation. Some of these drivers help them with things that they can't do, like taking out, the garbage and things, which they don't have to do. They're doing this out of the kindness of their heart. These people are absolutely wonderful, and I just wanted to make sure that people know about the tremendous services that this county has available. We mentioned domestic violence, which is a very big thing. One of the things that I also want to talk about is we had a county council named Satley. And yesterday he became a judge. One of the nicest young men I have ever come in contact with, so deserving of this. It was one of the nicest ceremonies that I have experienced. And it's really nice when somebody is rewarded who is really a good person. And so lots of luck tomorrow, Freeholder Dina Colan. You're need it.
Thank you, Madam
Because
Chair.
it is arduous, I must tell you. And thank you all for what you do. And with that,
Motion to close.
you got it. Okay, thank you.
Wait a minute, who seconded?